p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube, Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Q Time is a classic Atlanta soul food restaurant located in the historic West End. Q Time Soul Food is a family business started by Fred and Christine Crenshaw. Come on in, relax, and sink your chops into our tantalizing, mouth-watering, distinctive soul food with a twist, the Q Time way. 1120 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, or call your order in at 404-758-2881. Do you miss your mama's cooking? Then come on down to Q Time, an Urban Passport member.
I'm attorney Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
I talk trash about him, but Mr. 976 is in the house. They saying they still can't hear. Mr. 976 is in the house, and he gonna be doing his thing too.
Keep going. We're working on it.
I'm on it, bro.
We
so-
in these streets kicking it, you know, and have a little something for y'all to look at while y'all talk to man talk. So I do have a lady that will be in the building to maybe give a little perspective or something. You know, we might chime in a little bit. You know,
Now she might have some questions.
right?
Mike, are you married?
No.
What about you, Cliff?
Yes.
All right, that's what's up.
Satisfyingly.
Hey, look at that. He threw that quick one in. Is she in the other room?
No.
Right.
Okay. All right. So you gonna hear from, you got 2 married guys and 2 single guys. So you're gonna hear the different approaches. All right. Well, let's just go on and start out with some drama. Cause I tagged y'all on the post and y'all never did answer. So from a married perspective and a dating perspective, you got this woman that you, Cliff, yours is your wife. Mike, just a woman you've been dating. Y'all serious. Y'all got real titles and everything. If she receives a $4,000 cash gift for her birthday from an ex, how you feeling about that, Mike?
I mean, married or not, I don't think that's. I mean, you saying just $4,000 gift from an ex?
Yeah, for her birthday. It's a birthday gift.
We wouldn't even have the discussion. She wouldn't take it.
Why not?
Out of respect, she just wouldn't take it. We don't need it. You don't want to bring confusion into the home.
Mike, who don't need $4,000?
It's not about that. You want to have the money or you want to have the issues within your relationship. So, you know, I mean, you could take the money, but then if you know your man is not going to go for that, then why risk all of that? So, you know, you got to make sound judgments based on, you know, your long term and not just think of the moment. And that's how you get wrapped up. So, quite honestly, anybody I'm dealing with, she wouldn't take the money.
Cliff?
Yeah, I'm gonna be real simple. If you take the money, we got problems. And not only do we have problems, I'm gonna call him to make sure he crystal clear that he's not gonna do it again either. You know, that there would be no reason for him. There's no reason for an ex to send my wife any gift at any time. If she was that important that you wanted to share $4,000, you'll still be with her.
Listen.
Lau, did you ever answer that question? He probably done disappeared again. See now, and you know, we discussed this earlier, and I'm totally different. I'm cool with her taking the money. Cause in my belief, $4,000 is $4,000. Just cause he sent it don't mean we got no problem. It's money. Now, his expectation ain't got nothing to do with it. Cause no matter what the gift is, when do I expect her to send a gift back? Whether it's a birthday or whatever, it's a birthday. He sent the cash. He can think whatever he want to. Me sending the cash back, in my mind, don't change his thought process. But
playing with somebody's emotion, though, you know, you got to think about that. You really messing with that man's emotion. Like, let's just say he really giving to her with a different intention and thinking that eventually she gonna break down or he got some type of leeway. You know what I mean? Then here you are saying that, yeah, we'll take the money and we'll just disregard him. That's his business. But he might want to take that to another level. And again, from the door, why bring that in to your situation?
But if she rentable, then don't you need to know to get rid of her early as opposed to keeping her on? Because another temptation gonna come all the time. Temptation ain't gonna just stop. We got temptations on a regular basis. If the woman that you're with and claiming to be in a relationship with is that tempting, then that would be a flag. So why not notice the flag early?
But you ain't give her a reason not to be. You said you're okay with her taking it.
Because it's her birthday. Now, if it was just a random something, and don't get it twisted. If somebody foolish enough to send money, we keep it the money. They can expect what they want to expect. People can want what they want to. Listen, we all black men, and we fairly good looking. Just because a woman smile at us or speak to us, do that mean we shouldn't speak because she may think it's gonna lead to more? We're gonna still speak and keep it moving. My woman, I would expect the same thing. Keep speaking and keep it moving. All we're going to do, we're going to make that phone call and say, we're going to make that phone call and we're going to say, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. And keep moving. But
so let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Let me ask this question. Why is that brother comfortable sending your wife $4,000 or your girlfriend? Why is he that comfortable?
But that's my point, Cliff. At the moment, I really don't care, because if I got $4 grand, I don't want nobody telling me to give money back, because in my world, money ain't gonna present no problems. You negotiating for the money is what present problems. Because
So let me ask you this. Then when you find out 6 months later that the 4,000 payment was actually for the nights at the hotel, you're gonna be upset about it.
okay, but would I be more upset that she took 4,000 for the nights at the hotel, or she went to the hotel for free? At least something came out the deal. So either way, in that case, it's a flag. So at least get something out of it. Because if we start developing that mentality, every time she get a raise, when she get a raise, hell, she might have got a raise for a reason. Am I gonna start questioning everything? At some point, I gotta have trust in my significant other to make sound decisions. And sound decisions.
But you're talking about an external person, right? So I'm with Mike. I'm gonna kill it at step one.
Right.
Step one, we're gonna kill it. Because I ain't gonna let you get comfortable to get step two. Because if you get to step two, it's gonna be clear you taking step two against my wishes. Man, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
And that's why I said we making a phone call. And that's why I wanted people to hear different opinions, because I'm gonna stick with money. Money is money. Now, when he starts saying, I'm sending you this and I want something, again, once the money is sent, he can't take the money back. What he gonna do? Sue you? Again, it's for a birthday. So to me, he played himself. I'm gonna help him continue to play himself. I ain't gonna get the money back and let my ego get in the way of a financial upbringing. Because again, I do bodyguard work. I don't want my woman telling me, oh, you can't work with this woman because she want to pay you. Because as a bodyguard, there are plenty indecent proposals that come with the territory. Do I want her regulating all those because of what I might do? At some point, you got to trust your partner to make the right decision for y'all. That's my opinion. And like I said, now if it's some other kind of gift, again, I'm looking at the gift and the expectation. That's why I said we gonna call, so he can know that I know, so that he can't be trying to do no slick stuff. Because what I don't want to, when I made this post before, you saw a bunch of women saying they just wouldn't tell. So to me, that means you creating a barrier because you can't tell your man because he don't trust you enough to do something. And all I'm saying is, I trust my woman, and if that's a test, it's a good test. Because if she want to take it and keep a secret, would you be more upset if you found out she kept $4,000 and never told you about it? The trip that y'all went on, he paid for it. Would you be upset about that?
Absolutely.
So yeah, why force her to lie to you?
Why even bring it in the picture? Like, I mean,
the money is sent. He ain't asking. The money is sent. It ain't like he said, "Hey, I'm gonna send you some money." If once he send the money, that transaction is done. He can't get it back.
Me personally, I'm gonna meet that brother and give him his $4,000 back.
Yeah, that money's not coming in the house, man. We got to dead that from the door. This is nonsense.
Right, and as one of the viewers said, if she gonna cheat for $4,000, she gonna cheat for free. So if that's the mentality that we go for, and that's why I want people to have different opinions, because our circumstances dictate what we will and won't do, and how our mindset is. And everybody has a different mindset. And remember, we talked about this earlier. What we got to learn to do is to respect people's mindset and go from there, because we all got different experiences. There's nothing that we got to agree on to get to the top of the mountain. And right, and Denise, I ain't knocking it. What nobody's doing. I'm just saying my belief behind it. Once the cash is sent, the cash is sent. It's kind of like, and if y'all follow the show, y'all know how petty we can be. But if a guy was trying to flirt with my woman and he's sending her talking about, oh, send me this, and she was like, this guy just keep. I said, tell him to cash out you $50, and you're sending something. Once he cash out the money, he can't ask for it back. So to me, he's just playing himself. And if he want to use money to get played, and we know this, that women will play men for money. And ain't nothing, because he can't sue you. And that's my whole concept. At the end of the day, bills got to be paid, trips got to be made. I don't really care who paying for them. It's kind of like scenario 2. If a man send your woman a drink at a club, what do? Do you send it back? Because, hey, I want her to get the free drinks. That's $8 to $15 in my pocket that we can use for dinner. She good looking. That's why we picked her. We know temptation is going to exist, and if she can fall for something that slight, then I need to let her go early.
I don't even think you're serious on this, man. You can't. I
don't know why. You can't be serious on that.
Why? That
Yeah, he's
Like,
serious. We had
you
a couple shows about it before, and he's
yeah,
like,
like you
whatever, it's all good. Get that drink, and I'm gone. But sometimes when people are putting stuff out, compliments and stuff like that, it's easy. But when people are putting out money and doing this, I understand about the expectations, and they don't got to be all of that. But still, he's saying you drink. These brothers, I'm hearing, are saying, no, I'm not even letting that penetrate. I'm giving that back. I'm giving that back. So there ain't even got to be no connection between y'all. So I don't have to worry about it. It ain't that they insecure about what their girl might do. But if they did that, they don't even got to worry about it.
I'm gonna give you two scenarios. If I'm not with my wife and she decides to accept that drink, I'm not expecting anything to come from that drink. That's I'm not there. If I'm sitting there and a dude send my wife a drink,
you going to the
I might,
bathroom.
if I come out of that bathroom and found out he sent my wife a drink after he saw me with my wife, I might go hands on.
And see, I hear you on that one, and I'm gonna tell you why that one, when you gave that one was really funny to me, because I worked at a club, and women could go to the club with their brothers or cousins, and they'll be like, why he ain't say something? And it's like, because he thought that dude was somebody. So just because he see you with him, unless y'all do something, and this is, for me, this is the caveat with that one. If he see us holding hands or kissing or something, then I think it's disrespectful. But if we just sitting across from the table, not doing coupley stuff, I don't fault a brother for trying, because we've been taught to shoot our shot. Now, like I say, if he do it while I'm sitting there or while we kissing and hugging, that's a whole nother issue. But now, Cliff, I ain't finna put my hands on nobody, because now that money I just turned down, we're gonna need for bail money. I ain't blowing my money. And what am I fighting for?
I'm giving you an extreme case, but I'm just saying that level of disrespect, even if we sit, I don't care if we sit at the table playing checkers, you assume she with me. Just like I would assume your wife was with you or your girl was with you. I would never come over and say nothing to a female sitting at a table with you.
for real. Shoot your shot somewhere else, man. We don't even have time for this. Like, take that somewhere else.
And again, that's why I know we all got different perspectives, and I want women to hear them, because women got different perspectives. Like I said, when I made the post, I saw a bunch of women saying they would never tell, they wouldn't even tell their man they got the money, but they keeping the money. And some of them had a lot of valid reasons. And one of them, which is another reason I wanted you guys on the show, is because men are notorious for leaving a woman without money. So someone want to step their own little nest egg, because we might be good brothers, and there might be a bunch of good brothers, but we also know there are brothers who leave their women stranded high and dry because they running the financial trip on them. And that's why I wanted to have the different perspectives, because Mike, as you say, hey man, to know me is to know me. There's just certain things that don't even faze me at a certain level, and there are things that push me to the edge. But money, once the cash has come, that's it. If you stupid enough to send it, we stupid enough to keep it.
Well, let me tell you the problem I have with this is just all these scenarios, like everybody involved is broken.
How you figure that?
I mean, you know what I mean? And I don't mean it to be insulting, but, you know, you're wrapping yourself into broken cycles. First of all, there's a huge problem in women responding and saying that they just wouldn't tell their mate, their significant other, that they received the money because they're worried about their man leaving them. It's too many. You see, it's too many broken patches there. Why are you with someone that you're worried about leaving you to begin with? Why are you okay with hiding something from your mate? You know what I'm saying? Why are you okay with accepting something from your ex? The issue there is that means your mate is not supporting you well enough. There's so many things you got to deal with there outside of just saying, all right, I'm okay with just not telling him and hiding it. You're just adding on to the broken cycles.
So I'll give you an example. My wife recently retired, and one of the things we had never really talked about was the impact of retirement on her. My wife is used to having a six-figure job where she could take care of herself, and before she met me, she had her own home, she owned everything. So recently we had a conversation, and she was feeling down because her income in retirement is at a point where she feels like for the first time in her life, she may not be able to fully take care of herself to the level she wants to be able to take care of herself. What I said to my wife was this: you want me to send my paycheck to your account? Would that make you feel better? Would that make you feel more comfortable? If she with a man that she feel like is going to leave her because of money, she broken for staying there because she should be gone. If you feel like you got to put up a nest egg to protect yourself from this so-called man that you love, you're in the wrong relationship.
For real. That's a fact. The man is supposed to provide security. So that's why I have a problem with some of the things that you're saying, that you're okay with allowing someone else to fund your family. That's what it sounds like in essence, like in any way, because money is money. And it's not. Like, I mean, personally, I don't chase money. You know what I mean? So, you know, you just do what you do. And, you know, for me, universe will provide. But you can't be okay with other people putting their hands into your family like that. Like, and I wouldn't be comfortable with sending, you know what I mean, that type of message. Like, you have to own your home. You have to be the man in your house. She shouldn't want for anything. And if she does, it needs to come from y'all, from coming through you, the family, the unit.
But see, and you said a couple important things. If I trust her, why can't she? Because again, we're talking cash. Now we ain't talking about an exchange. An exchange is something totally different. See, when me and mine talked about it, if he felt comfortable enough sending her some lingerie, oh, see, that's an issue, because we don't remember stuff like that. That means they had to have a conversation. But if guilt or whatever caused him to send that money, see, that's not my issue. Again, his expectation is not my issue, nor is it hers. Now, if I think that she's willing to do something for that money, then that lets me know that I'm with the wrong woman. It's no different. Again, it's no different than when I go to work and when I worked at a strip club, my woman saying, well, I don't want you around all them naked women because you may do something. If she feels like that, then that's affecting our income, and it's still a job. And guess what? Strippers tip good money. So at some point, you have to realize what the level of give and take is, because somebody's sending something, whether it's guilt, no matter what it is, why would I let that affect how I look at her, unless there's a negotiation going on?
I'll just say this, and I'll tell you this. Like, I think for me, it's a matter of perspective and the way that you view things. Like, I view that as, you say it's not your issue. Well, for me, I view like it's not my issue to cause anyone else any more harm. So clearly, you trust your woman, she could take the money, but you feel like you're not causing him harm by allowing this transaction to happen. And in fact, you are, because you're not concerned with his motives. That doesn't mean that he doesn't have motives. You see what I'm saying? So let's not even entertain it to begin with. You have too many what ifs. What if he wants more? Right. What if his expectation is different? You're saying you're not concerned, but let's just not entertain it. Let's not worry about it.
But how do you not, Mike, if your woman go out to the mall and a man opens the door for her and she walks through, hell, he want to look at her booty and he is entertaining the thought that he might be able to get with her. Should she not do that? Because what if, and see, that's what we keep throwing into the scenario. I gave a simple scenario. He sent it for her birthday. The what ifs came from us. See, to me, that's a deep rooted insecurity within us, because we start adding things. What if it means something else? What if it means something else? Again, what if she gets a promotion at work and her boss just happens to be a guy? Is he giving her the promotion because he wants future credits? So should I tell her not? It's not
the same.
How is that the same? How does she get that promotion? See, so but if
wait. You said how did she get the promotion?
Yeah.
Because she worked for it. Wow, how else would she get the promotion?
But how do we know this? And see, that's what I'm saying. We start throwing what ifs. We're gonna what if everything to death. Because
let me ask you a question, man. I got a question.
Go ahead.
2021. How does the boyfriend even know how to get my wife $4,000? Would he got a cash app? Would he got a Zelle account? Would he got a bank account? How can he send her $4,000?
Right. Confidently send her $4,000, not $4.
Those are, come on now. It ain't that hard to find out how to get somebody some money. My girl got a business, so he can send it any way he want to. That's not that hard. Especially,
how does he know she has a business?
It's public.
Okay, and how does he know how to get her a check related to her business?
It's public record. All you gotta do is look on Facebook. It's right there.
So he took
what
time.
Would make him look that?
Right. No, he asked me questions. But again, the point is, unless we've been together 5 or 10 years, if me and my girl broke up right now, I still know her cash app. So if I want to send her money in 2 years, she ain't gonna change her cash app. She ain't gonna change her Zelle.
How do you know that?
One, you can't change.
Zelle connected to the bank. Better change that Zelle.
Why? Why would you change how many of us change everything for one person? That's just like saying every time we get, and this is more for Mike. Do you change your phone number out to every girlfriend? No. So you cannot stop an ex from calling you. You can't. So why am I putting so much energy into what she might do if I'm comfortable with where we are?
Well, I disagree.
Every time she leaves the house, and that's why we're here, because we all got different opinions. Because every time we leave the house, there is temptation out there.
I
There's
disagree when
always.
you say you can't stop an ex from calling. You can. You could put an end to it. You can have a conversation to make it clear. Now, understand you can't control their actions. Of course, people may go ahead and make several attempts after, but you will stop it by not entertaining it.
But you can't stop it. You can do what you just said. You can ignore it, but she can call unless you're gonna change your number. You can't stop nobody
But
from
who is
doing
she
what they're.
talking to if you don't answer?
So when she called from another number, especially you, Mike, you a life coach. So
I
guess
don't
what you do?
answer.
So you don't answer from her number. But if
I
she
don't
calls
answer
from a,
any number that doesn't come up like,
okay, but you still can't call. So if she calls you, and let's just say you and your woman laying in the bed, if she calls you consistently, and your woman's like, "Why you won't answer the phone?" See, so we can do what if scenarios all day long. At some point, your woman has to trust you, and you have to trust her. When you do, I'm assuming you do one-on-one seminars with some of your clients. Well, not now, it's coronavirus.
no, we still do on Zoom.
Okay,
just
so
like
right,
this.
so again, there's a level of trust that has to come with that because temptation is still there. So at what point do we stop letting the thought of temptation? Because if they're gonna leave, they're gonna leave. So when do we get over that? Every time I leave the house, two things can happen. Every time, and I still go to work in the public. Every time I leave the house, I could cheat. My wife could cheat. There's nothing I can do about that. Now, am I gonna let that run my thought process? No, we talking about what can happen. I used to work with a guy, and he would call his wife every hour on the hour. And I said, "Why do you always call her?" He said, "Because I want to make sure she ain't cheating." I said, "How does her answering the phone mean she ain't cheating?" I said, all that does is let her know where you at because we're calling from a fixed position. So what's the point in calling her? Because she can still cheat with you on the phone. She just know how long she got to cheat now if you say you on your way. But that was his process that he thought somebody was going to cheat with his wife. And he, every day at work, I had to hear about this for 5 or 6 hours, and his wife wasn't even cute. But if you dwell in that place of negativity, you're going to always see the worst of everything.
I don't even think this is not even a worst stand situation. This is the situation of a man saying, I am comfortable enough sending $4,000 to an ex-girlfriend that presumably, if you know enough to know how to get her $4,000, when to get her $4,000, you also know she's in a relationship. There's a certain level of disrespect to you as a man for him to send her that money. And if you accept that money, regardless of the intention or no intentions, you've allowed him to do a subtle disrespect of you as a man. And we don't know if he will continue to escalate from that point. But if you kill it at that point, and he gonna go, wait a minute, if the $4,000 wouldn't get me through the door, then that's a dead issue. So my thing is just always, I'm gonna kill it because my wife she's not on the auction block for nobody. So for no amount of money. It would be the same. Let me ask you a question. Can that man pay your electric bill? What if you find out your wife hadn't paid your electric bill?
He said, get that money and pay the bill and keep on going.
Again, if a man is foolish enough to send money to try to buy her, I'm gonna let him play himself. That is my mentality. We all got different mentalities, but anybody who want to try to buy their way in, if she's purchasable like that, then I'm gonna get mine out of it and let her go when it's time to get done. Because now I learned something about her. Because how do we learn about people? Through trial and error, because everybody presents themselves as a great person. And what do we normally do? We miss little clues because we don't like the test because the test may tell us something. So if that's the case, then yeah, this one test told me something because I would rather know up front what's going on. You know, if she say I got this sucker who want to send me money, hey, again, we're all different. If he want to spend money, hell, it's like these 976 operators that I pick up my boy about. If somebody want to pay somebody to talk to them and they want to pay $8 a minute, man, yeah, talk for $8 a minute. They ain't get nothing. They can expect what they want to expect. You can never change anybody's expectation. I know women who expect stuff from me. So should my wife keep me in the house? Because when the women see me, they expect something because, oh, you this, you that, because they got a compliment. No, I'm going to look at them. I'm going to smile. I'm going to say thank you. And I'm going to keep it moving. When some woman slips some money in my pocket at the club, you think I'm finna look for her to get that money back? No, I'm going to go buy some food. And when I go home, I'm taking breakfast home to my wife because we finna eat off that. Because everybody else's money spend better than our money. That's why we have investors. So that's what we call them, investors. And you know what you get when you invest? You will not guarantee the return on your investment.
Man, I will say this. This is what I would say. And I hear you. my wife is off limits. You don't get to play with her. You want to find something to play with, you have to find something else. Even the scenario about the girl buying breakfast. I don't even want no other woman to feel like she can buy my wife breakfast through me. I don't even want anybody on this earth to feel like they can somehow get me to do something for my wife that she can't do for herself or I can't do for her. That's just me. I don't knock nobody else. But if somebody said, here with $50, go buy your wife breakfast, and it's another female, that ain't gonna work for me because I don't need you to buy my wife breakfast.
See, so let me ask you a question then, because this is when we came up. What's up, Kawana? So, and I told you I work out in the public. I'm in a fixed position for 8-9 hours a day. Let's just say either way, should your wife be okay with the women that you work with bringing you back something to eat?
As a general rule, I'm gonna say this. That depends. So let's say, for example, if this woman is going to lunch and she's offering to bring everybody lunch, and it's not just every day that Tanya go to lunch, she gonna make sure she bring Cliff lunch. But she never asks Mike if he's hungry. She never asks John if he's hungry. Then for me, that answer is no, because then
you don't want to can't. You don't want to can't leave. Everybody else can go to lunch. You're fixed. You have to stay there. So what do you say, Mike? I mean, Cliff, you're fixed. You can't leave. Everybody else can leave to go to lunch.
You see what I mean? I would just have to. I've been in that position on a fixed post, and I would just say that's one you have to be careful, because again, I don't want that woman to feel like she's doing something that somehow puts her in my vision as being anything other than a coworker. So for me, once or twice randomly, I don't have a problem with it. But on a regular basis, no, I don't need her to bring me lunch.
There's so much missing. Like it depends. Like, are we talking what age? Like, we talking kids? Because I mean, you as a man, you should be able to tell if somebody's coming on to you. So you can answer that question. All right, cool. You know this woman probably has an attraction to you or some type of signal if she's trying to go to the store for you. So it depends on what you're asking. Because if I'm at work, and let's just say, like you said, I can't leave and someone's making a run and I absolutely need to use that resource. All right, cool. Can I call home and say, hey, I had to do that? That's the difference. Yes, you should be able to. This is what we're talking here. We're talking grown. All this, well, I'm just not going to tell her and I don't have to tell her. You're just looking for problems. I've been there before and it caused nothing but problems. Whether you want to find out now, we tell them, tell them they find out on their own. Just be open about it if it's nothing.
Yeah, so if you can't say to your wife, yeah, she said, well, how was your day? I said it was pretty good, chilling. Tina went out and bought me some lunch back. So if you can't have that conversation, Tina shouldn't be going to get you no lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but my wife is on the phone with me when they ask me, hey, I'm going out, do you want something? So again, there's nothing to hide, but does that, and for me, there's no flirtiness going on, but that's not the question. The question is allowing somebody into that space. And at some point, you have to trust your partner to make sound decisions, because the minute we leave the house and we part company, that's what everyday life is. Because when y'all go out, Mike, you got the women who look at you and they smile at you. Some you recognize, some you don't, because I'm assuming that most of us have been hit on by somebody that we never even thought was interested in us, but it's how you handle it. It's the same thing with our women. At some point, when do we acquiesce to that and let them be the deciders and hope that they're making the right decision? And that's all it was about. And I don't want to get stuck on this scenario. I just want, because I knew y'all had different opinions. I just want people to get everybody's opinion, because see, there are times when, like, there's a time that because of who I am, I bought everybody's lunch, because different women have taken the time out to go get me something because they're on a rotating schedule about how they work. And when they were all there, I bought all of them lunch because all of them have bought me lunch at one point.
So for me, it's a difference between a woman who, a lot of women enter my space. So I work in a building full of women. I've been there 30 years. So a lot of women enter my space. Hey, Brown, I'm going to go grab some lunch. You want something? We walk it down to the deli. She might be standing by me. We walk to the deli together, grab a sandwich. She go her way, go her way. I go my way. What I never allow is any other woman to even think for a second that she can occupy space. So she can't occupy space in my life, meaning she can't be in her mind thinking every day I'm going to bring him lunch. that means she's now occupying space. That's
Exactly.
just how I look at it.
But and again, the birthday is a occupying space. So it ain't like he sent it out to random. He sent it for a birthday. Like I said, maybe he hit a lick. Who knows? That I didn't want to get into that portion. I wanted to get into the portion of open communication where she could feel comfortable telling you, and you're okay with her keeping it because she shared it, because she wants this to be a bonding moment. She ain't trying to keep secrets, but there were so many guys who thought it meant something. And if we don't trust our woman to be out in public and make sound decisions, then where are we at?
You said the woman in the feed said that they wouldn't even tell. So communication is definitely being open, but it's closing with you.
No, because they said but the reason they said they didn't want to tell, because the guy ego would say send the money back, and she don't see why she should have to send money back. It's money. It's money. And she don't get why she should have to send it back. And that's where the whole thing came from, because women want to be trusted like they trust, like Cliff said. We want our wives and women to trust us when that we make sound decisions. The women want to be trusted the same way, knowing that they can make a decision and it has nothing to do. His expectation, you can't temper nobody's expectation. You can tell them no or whatever. You know, that's why we got stalkers out there. But you can't, you don't have a whole lot of control over it. What you have control over in certain situations is who has your number, how you respond to that. Who has your Facebook page, how you respond to that. But Mike Cliff, y'all could post a picture right now, and some woman put on your post, "Ooh, you so adorable. I love you. I want to have your baby." You can block them, but if your wife sees it first, should she think that you send out something same as guys do what guys do? So if a guy want to play himself, who am I to stop him from playing himself and being foolish? And that's all I'm saying. And everybody has a different perspective. So when I was looking at the answers, because I like when I get these scenarios, I like to post them in different places and get the feel for the crowd and see what the pros and cons are. Because there's some who say they would tell their husband, the husband, boyfriend, significant other, whatever would be good for it. There's some who said, if he ain't my husband, I ain't telling. Everybody has something different. And I just want people to say, no matter what you choose, Mike got to choose what worked best for him. Cliff got to choose what worked best for him. Lyle and DVP, we all got to choose what worked best for us, because we don't all have the same. We don't all list things the same. And that was the whole point. And Mike, being a life coach, he'll know Mike can't give me and Cliff the same information, because we're two different people. So if he's helping us along our life, he's got to know more about us as individuals. And then you can make more informed decisions.
I would definitely tell you, be careful just to not have your woman feel like you have her up for sale. That's all I could tell you with those type of situations. Like, that's real close to really like you would pimp her for the right amount. You know, you see those videos where men walk up with random bags of, I know it's practical jokes or whatever, and they're like, hey, I'll offer you $10,000 for one night. And you look at the expressions on those men's faces, like some of these men are really, really considering. And even in that short little video, some of those men are really like, okay, yes, and will give their wife away for a night for $10,000 to a complete stranger. Are y'all absolutely fucking crazy?
But for some of them, and I ain't trying to make it right, but you got to remember, for some of them, everybody's not financially well off. So if that's the way to come up, I mean, and it's like somebody said, they doing it for free. If you struggling, you about to get put out your house. When do you let your ego stand in the way?
That's not your value is money in those situations. You're putting money over everything, and my money is not everything for me. So it's hard. I'm always stop there with you with that, because
let me ask you,
say it's money is financial. I don't care what it is.
Let me ask you a question, Mike. And this is one of my personal experiences. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been homeless?
No.
Okay. So, and that's why you can't just, if you've been homeless and hungry, it's like I worked at a strip club and I hear how people judge strippers. If you're homeless and your people are hungry, you can let ego get in the way. You can realize that money is going to cure everything, because you can go to a strip club, take off your clothes, dance for total strangers, come back with $500 and feed your kids and pay rent. Or you can sit there and you can apply for assistance, wait 60 days, listen to your kids cry every night. At some point, for people who don't have it, and there's a difference between, like now, I'm okay financially. But when I wasn't okay, and there was a time when I wasn't, yes, I sold my soul for money, because I did not like being hungry. I did not like the idea of being homeless. So you got to look at how some people do things, because when you're in a position that you have, you do look at things totally different versus when your kids are crying at night because you have no food,
I
because you have no
disagree,
heat.
man. I
You're right,
disagree.
but you've never been there. You've never been there. So Mike,
Well, you can't shut it off by saying just because I haven't been homeless mean I haven't experienced that, because I've been damn near homeless. I've been in a whole situation without a job, a house full of kids, and no food, no car, no anything. So to say because I haven't been actually homeless, I wasn't homeless because I made sure, and I didn't have to go and sell ass or sell my woman or anything to do that. You got to think into a different perspective. I don't have to go ahead and chase money to where I sell my soul. I can make things happen as a man to come out of those situations.
But everybody don't have that. Some people ain't got some people
Why?
ain't got no skill. We can sit back, and if we're honest, everybody don't have a mental mindset to withstand struggles. We know this. This is why when we went back to talking about drug dealers, you ain't as old as me and Cliff, but Cliff, back in the day, everybody had a choice because the military was open to everybody. They didn't care nothing about what you did. So for anybody who said they had to sell drugs, no, because you could have joined the military. That was a choice they made not to. So some of our bad choices are true decisions, but we can't always judge why people do stuff. And the whole point is there's differences. Now, it may not work for us. We may think it's horrible. We may think it's the worst thing going. But again, when you have circumstances or trials and tribulations, everybody's not going to respond the same way.
So let me give you my scenario, and this is going to be a terrible thing to say, but I'm just going to say this. If I'm homeless, destitute, in desperate need of some money, and a dude walk up and say to me, I will give you $5,000 to sleep with your homeless girlfriend, I'm gonna just be real with you. I don't know how this is going to take place, but somehow or another, he's going to give me that money without her ever taking her clothes off.
Right.
So selling my wife is the absolute last option after smacking them with a bottle, beating them with a brick, dragging them in the alley, and everything else. Selling my wife is not on the table.
I know, but did you hear what you said? And see, you just bit into it. You're going to get the money, then you're going to take off, because he can't call nobody. And that's all I'm saying. His expectation ain't got nothing to do with the realization. Once you get the money, what are you going to do? Call the police and say, hey, I tried to sleep with his wife for money and he wouldn't let me? Ain't nobody he can tell. So I get that, and I got your scenario. And again, and it's crazy because I know people who've done that. And we judge them, but we judge them based off what we believe in. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break, because I already got a couple of nasty grams, and we're gonna come up with the next thing. And Mike, I want you to be ready for this, because I know this is in your wheelhouse. Because I want to talk about, when we get back from the break, I want to start touching on Black men and mental health, because there's a scenario that somebody gave, and we're gonna get into that after the break. So Mike, be ready. And I know me and Cliff, we the old heads, so we got something to say about it once you give us your intellect, your input as the life coach. All right, so we're gonna take a break and we'll be right back.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m.
Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock
in downtown Atlanta.
For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992
or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com.
For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant.
Authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
All right, and we back. It's Random Thoughts with DVP. We got Mike back. So, you know, like I said, we talked about that scenario, and I got a couple more things for him, but I want to make sure we get into some of the things that, to me, are truly important for us as a people. And, you know, before I talked about, you know, everybody talking about some of the things that Biden should do in his first 100 days and what we as Black people need. And for me, and this is just my belief, and Mike, I don't know if y'all know this, for 22 years, I was a soldier also. Anything that happens in the Black community, if it doesn't involve getting us more mental health facilities, more rehab centers in our neighborhood, it's kind of moot, because there's so much mental damage going on that can't be expressed, and especially among Black men, because we always got to be tough, and there's a scenario where Black men have been sexually abused as boys, and they can't speak up on it because it's supposed to be a macho thing, and it taints them. And the R. Kelly showed how deep that can go and how it can manifest itself if you accomplish two things: money, power, success. You can become the apex predator for damage that was never resolved. So when we talking about uplifting, and this is about Black men, ladies and gentlemen, I ain't got nothing against the ladies right now, but this is about the Black men getting the help that they need, and us being able to speak freely and not be punk call names or something else for admitting that something happened that we need to be, what's a good word, that needs to be talked about. And mental health is at the top of the issue. And I know that's one of Mike's biggest things, and there's so much damage. And Mike, I'm gonna tell you this before I let you talk. I suffer from depression. There's no telling how long I suffered from it before I was diagnosed with it, because it came across to everybody else as me having a superhero mentality. But there was a traumatic incident that happened while I was a cop that they made me go see a therapist. And that's how I got accidentally diagnosed. Other than that, nobody would have ever knew, and I wouldn't be able to explain some of the things that happened to me or why, because I never knew that I had triggers or that I even suffered from depression until she hit me with a bunch of facts. She made me read some books, and then there was just no more denying. I had accepted the fact that based on everything that I now read and knew, I suffer from depression, clinical depression. But prior to that, it's something that's never talked about in the Black community. And I'm 55. It's something that's never talked about except for crazy people. So, Mike, I want you to step in there and give us some info about that. Let's go from there.
Well, I mean, I think you kind of covered it. You know, I mean, it's depression in our community is kind of not talked about. Mental health on a whole, you know, is kind of not talked about. And again, it comes from years of just cycles of just not being able to accept things and understand who we are. And like you said, society puts a shadow on it. You know what I mean? In some of the groups that we run, we have men, we have discussions with the men on simple things like crying. And you'll be surprised, like a lot of men just don't, because of that very same reason. They don't want anyone else to look at them a certain kind of way. So, you know, what we try to do, like what we're doing now, have conversations and let other people see and understand that it's okay to talk things out. It's not good to be suppressive.
But how do we learn how to have these conversations? Because and I tell my wife this all the time. One of the things that I was really shitty at and didn't know it, I was shitty at real communication. I can be open, I can be extra honest. except about me, because I was in denial. So how do you tell somebody these things? And she was great about it. But as you said, women look at us as being soft if we start crying. If our parents die, everybody will let us cry. But one of the things I noticed with depression, when it hits me the hardest, I usually want to be by myself because I want to cry alone, because I don't want her to feel sorry for me. But it's something that I have no control over. Uh, and before her, I just always kept it a secret and just disappeared because I needed that alone time because there was nobody I could talk to. So how do we get to that point where men can feel safe with expressing it and know how to say it? Because if you don't know you're depressed, you can't even talk about it.
I mean, things like this, everything is in comfort. You got to have comfort zones. What I mean? As a man, what I mean, it wasn't easy for me when I went through mine, it wasn't easy for me to express mine. First of all, I didn't even recognize it. And when it kind of came about, it was always pushed away. I didn't have time to. I had to take care of everything else and everyone around me. So to be quite honest, what allowed me to do the things that I do now was actually taking the time to say, all right, this is actually a problem, and sending out that message. I actually sent out a physical message to everyone that I felt the need to, that said, look, I've been seclusive. I've been drawn back. I don't feel like doing anything. I know something's going on. And I got a response from a male, my business partner, actually. And his response was different from anything I've ever heard before. He said, I already knew that. I was just waiting for you to reach out. What do you need? That did something to me that probably, you know what I'm saying, like never happened before. One, it showed me that it was okay. You know what I mean? Everyone else, to be quite honest, didn't respond. You know what I mean? I didn't get no response that came in except for that. And that was big. So what that did in return was said, well, if he can give me that response, then I need to offer that same response to other people. I need to make sure that other people will feel comfortable coming around me and coming around us and speaking and letting these things all just venting.
Right.
You'd be surprised how much just having a simple conversation about what happened will do for you.
And that's a great
again,
point.
just not feel. And then the biggest thing for a man is just don't violate my privacy. Don't violate me. So if I came on here and I said something to you one-on-one, or even in a group, and you made it clear that whatever we said in this group was supposed to stay in this group, then it's on you to make sure of that, because if you violate that, you'll never get me back.
Right, and that's a great point. Some of the friends that I got on Facebook after I did my show about depression, and I admitted it was me, because people look at my life. Like I said, I was a bodyguard. I worked club security. I was always around women. Everybody thought I had a perfect life. When I did the show, I started getting friend requests. I started getting inboxes. Guys shoot me their numbers just wanting to talk, and it was therapeutic, I think, for both of us, because now they knew somebody, not just somebody over there. They knew somebody, and everybody thinks you have a good life. And one of the most important things you said, Mike, was your friend. And this is one of the things I stress. I hate the little messages about, if you're depressed, you can call me anytime, yada, yada, yada. And I always stress, quit saying that. Part of the depression is that you feel worthless, that nobody cares enough to check on you. So telling me to call you is kind of a moot point, because, yeah, I'm there for everybody, but who's there for me? Call me and check on me sometime. And I hate that message where, oh, you can call me anytime you need to talk. I don't know that you're a great listener. I don't know who you are, but, I appreciate the people who reached out to me during the time and say, hey, man, I'm noticing something different in your post. You good? Do we need to talk? Do we need to go somewhere, have a drink? That made me feel validated, for lack of a better word, because I'm not just going to reach out to somebody and say, hey, I think, a lot of depressed people, especially suicidal people, they'll post a message, a really cryptic message, and then you'll see on the page, everybody's like, reach out to me, sis, reach out to me, bro. But nobody ever calls them.
Well,
and I say, a lot to do that. Go ahead.
That changes nowadays as well. So that's something that I actually run into the opposite. I have a lot of, you could say cryptic, or you could say just flat out, I'm angry, I'm pissed, I'm depressed, I'm hurting messages. And I know I'll personally go and do the opposite of everybody else. I'm not going to come on your page and say, I'll pray for you. So I'll go into your mail, in your box, and I'll say, hey, here's my number, or send me yours. If I don't have it, cool. If I have it, I'll reach out. But if I do that and then you're just like, well, that's not really what I was looking for. I'm like, well, why did you put that message? In my mind, it's like, why did you put that message? So it gets harder for people that's really genuine to take that step to reach out, because you just don't know who's doing it for the gram, as they say, or
right.
Who's really, really hurting. So I just kind of have to wait and see, and then gauge and make the move from there.
And that's the thing, because my wife asked me, she said, I think this guy's depressed. And I looked through some stuff. I said, I don't really think he is. I said, based on what I know about it, I think he's doing it for the inboxes. I said, but I'll reach out to him. But to me, his messages are more thirst traps, or he wants some pity pussy, as opposed to him needing real help, because that's what I'm seeing. But I reached out to him, and all of a sudden everything was great, or he didn't really want to talk to me. And that's the thing, is that it's become a catchphrase for a lot of people to be manipulative, or to get somebody to feel sorry for them. And one of the things I would say, how do you go about having that conversation? Because out of all the things that men know how to do, men are very problematic when it comes to helping each other. We don't know what to do. When you come to me crying, what's the best message you can give people that want to help? Because men typically don't like other men crying with them. All we want to do is tell you to go get some, or take it to a strip club, or go get drunk. We're not the same like women.
I mean, that's
Probably.
the problem. Like, that's not the person you should be talking to. Or maybe they just don't know how to yet. You know what I mean? Everybody has different stages. If you go into somebody who's shunning you away, then don't go to them. You know what I mean? A lot of times you think, well, I'm gonna go to my mother, but she's giving me bad advice, or she's being tough on me, but you feel obligated to go to her because that's your mother. You don't have to go to her. You have to find there are people who will understand. There are people around you who will, let you talk and let you be expressive and not judge you. You just have to find them. And unfortunately for me, I had to do a shakedown of all of those who I thought were for me, and that circle is different now.
Yeah,
and that just comes with life and elevation in life sometimes. So
it definitely gives you a new friend set. Cliff, you my age. I mean, when you run across people that you're starting to see it, how have you learned to deal with brothers that you find are depressed, your age or younger?
I'm gonna say, one, I was thinking about when we grew up, right? And I'm gonna use a word that people don't like to hear, but I'm gonna use it. When we grew up in the projects, there was essentially three types of people. There was a retarded person that we thought they couldn't help. There was a crazy person, and then there was everybody else. So if you weren't in the first two categories, we just assumed nothing was wrong with you if you was in that other category. So there was not a lot of talk about mental health or depression or things of that nature. And in fact, as young men, we was discouraged from showing any emotion. What I try to do now is I'm open with everybody I meet. So when we have conversations about things, I'm just open. And I get the inkling there's something going on, and I can't even sit there and tell you that I can diagnose when the person is depressed. I just try to be open. And if I see something that I think is maybe catching my attention, then I'm like, Mike, I'll reach out and say, hey, man, listen, I saw this, shoot me your number. Or if I know you, I'll call you and say, hey, I see that on your post, I see this, you good?
Right?
I just try to be, I try to be honest and open. And if someone calls me, I try to listen and just give them the best advice I can give them as a man. I'm certainly, to be honest, if somebody called me now, I probably would tell them to call my man in Atlanta, because he's far better equipped to deal with it than I am. But I would have a general conversation. And I think a part of it as a man is also knowing what's not my expertise. So that may not be my expertise, and that's okay. So I may be able to talk you to step B, but when I get to step B, I might need to call out Mike. Hey, Mike, listen, I can't. I'm lost. I need to hand them off to somebody that can get them the rest of the way. But for the most part,
that's important, man. That's important that what he said too, because that's a different level of removing ego. Like, all right, so if I come to you and you feel like, well, this is too much for me, so you might just shun him away. But what he's telling you is that as a man, as a brother to that, to that other brother, like, guide him. Maybe you might know somebody. Think of people in your circle, or even just give them that recommend. We don't even recommend therapy to each other.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? We don't even recommend. We like, just to you, the thought of saying, hey, why don't you go check out so and so in this building or whatever. We don't even recommend. And I'll tell you why. Because for me, I didn't want to talk to anybody who didn't look like me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when they did talk to me, it just wasn't relatable. Everything was textbook. So they lost me. You know what I mean? So realizing that there were people that look like me that do the same thing, and it was okay to talk, and those are the type of things that open it up. But it starts with little things like that, man. Just offering that and to each other.
And I think one of the biggest things is having the knowledge of that it actually exists now. Because when I was going through it, and I think about all the people I talked to, one of the worst phrases that I hated, and it used to just drive me shit back, was people say, "Man, I wish I had your life." Because I'm thinking, I wish you did too. I wish all these thoughts were in your fucking head. I hate it when people told, "Man, your life can't be that bad." You have no idea. And I hate it when people tried to downplay it. And as you said, Mike, I had to learn to start distancing myself from certain people because nobody wanted to accept the trauma I was trying to open up to them about. So initially it drove me into a deeper hole because, like I said, when people say, "Oh man, you around all these women, you making all this money, you got a good life," and and that goes back to the point, money ain't everything. And sometimes when you're depressed, happiness ain't everything. You just need peace of mind. You good with being just here. You don't want the high. You don't want the highs. You don't want the lows. You just want everything to be okay. And like I said, when people say that, and it's great. Like I said, when people start reaching out to me, and the guy was like, "Yo, man," he said, "You know, I like talking to you." He said, "You got answers. You don't just tell me that things gonna be okay. Cause hell, sometimes they not gonna be okay. You gotta accept that this shutdown is coming. And when it comes, these are the things you can help yourself do. Talk to your woman. Tell her, come up with a buzzword for when you want to be alone, but you're not suicidal. When you just need some, you know, I saw a post where a lady said she put her boyfriend's head in her lap and she just started rubbing his head and he broke down crying because no woman ever did that. And that's a subliminal sign. But how do we recognize those to the point where we get women to stop saying, "Man up, stop crying, stop doing this, stop doing that," when it's, I can say that. Go ahead, Cliff.
Let me say something to my sisters that may be listening. If your man is going to be vulnerable with you, if he's going to be willing to cry with you, you can, under no circumstances, ever use what he shares with you against him. If you do, you're going to lose him. He may stay there, he may stay married, but he will not ever be back to you the way he was before. So if that man is willing to share and lean on your shoulder and cry and pour out his true feelings about how he feels, you can't come back a week later and say, "Oh, now you're going to tell me you're going to the club like a grown man, but last week you was laying on my lap like a little bee crying about your sister passing away." If you do that to a man, you're absolutely going to destroy that man, and he's probably never ever going to be vulnerable with you again. So that's a key for sisters to understand. If that brother's going to give that vulnerability to you, you cannot throw it back in his face in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
And on that, I would say that's probably one of the most awesome gifts a man can give a woman is showing his vulnerability. Because too often we've been taught to man up, to be strong, to always put our best foot forward, don't show emotion. And fortunately for a lot of us, it was our mother who taught us that, and it just got passed on that real men don't cry, real men don't do this, real men don't do that, and it became so much BS because, like I said, during my time as a cop, I found out a lot of abusers. A lot of abusers suffer from some form of depression, and they've never been allowed, so they lash out. My drug of choice when I was going through it was I was having a lot of random sex. That was my drug of choice to get me through it. Some people choose alcohol, some people choose cocaine, some people choose heroin, whatever it is. And I never knew that's what it was, like I said, until I met with a professional who started pointing out stuff to me. And then I looked at it, and some of the things I learned to manage a little bit better. But again, sometimes you don't know your triggers until something happens, and they happen between therapy sessions. And it's hard to log all of it down. Like I said, when Mike brought up, I definitely want to have Mike here just to give, especially the ladies, something. And, it's a couple of guys on the show too. But we need to teach the normal people how to recognize these issues, how to address them, and as Cliff said, without berating your man for showing you a vulnerable side of him. So, and that was one of the big things I wanted you for, Mike.
So check this out, D.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, somebody else coming in. I'm older than most, so y'all talking about this, right? So I came up with not my dad, so it wasn't my dad punching me in the chest telling me to be a man, da 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 da. It was from my mom, but my mom never did that. So I had the love and care, and all that stuff was a little bit soft. So I was in touch with my emotions, but never, bruh, until meeting you and talking to you, did someone talk about it openly and really address it. And I commend Brother Mike because I know he's a lot younger than me, but he's handling this thing head on. And I think he's handling it in different areas because he's younger. So he's got the hip hop nation and some younger adults that are going through these things that can break some of these generational curses that we never talked about. So like I said, I never got beat down. Oh, you need to be this, you need to be that. So I knew a little bit, but never still wasn't nobody open up and about their problems, about what they felt. Wasn't nobody openly breaking down, crying, or whatever like that, because that's the way you say generationally, that's the way we were taught, or even if we wasn't taught, that's what we thought. That was the mystique of a man. That was what it was supposed to be, or what we supposed to have represent. But we got true feelings and things too, and our emotions goes the gamut of the spectrum. I always say, if I can hold in my emotions, then I'm not hurting anybody. But it can hurt you internally, you know what I'm saying? And I never do. I don't get frustrated, but I really try to compose. I don't let people not see my emotions, not even the hurt times, but it's just my emotion fear. They be like, yeah, you upset, look at you. I'm like, what have I done? I try not to show any emotion. I try to have that stale face, so that, and not that I'm hurting, I don't want nobody to know where I'm at, but because they always assume that you're somewhere that you're not, at least in my instance. But I thank DVP for really being it up and some open conversation and real life stuff, because he was like, you got to call that person. If somebody is depression, they're going through something, you got to reach out, no matter how much, and this is what people always do. Hey man, you got my number, call me anytime, my door's open, da 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 da. That person ain't gonna make that call. And I never really looked at it like that. So you got to be that person. If you really care, you really about something, some of this humanness, then you got to reach out and make that call. And then sometimes, even like G said, there's some questions, some general things that, and I know Mike would know at night, would know those buzz questions. But how you doing? How's it going? Little things like that, so that can tell you kind of like what state they're in, whether either they're good or back off or all that. So I learned a lot late in my years, like right about now, about handling it, noticing it, and being able to respond and possibly help somebody.
So think about this for young men. Think about what we go through, right? Typically, young African-American men, we go one of four directions. So we're born and we're sort of told, don't cry, stop whining like your sister, be a man, suck it up, right? And then when we get to, let's say, 18, we have only a few options. We can go to penitentiary, we can stay on the streets, we can go to college, or we can go in the military. All four of those are streets that are going to make you further turn down your emotions. So if you stay on the street, there's no room for emotions. If you go to prison, there's no room for emotions. If you go to college around a bunch of random people you don't know, there's probably no room for emotions. And then you go in the military where they tell you how to control your emotions and all that. So we grow, and by the time we are 25 to 30 years old, we've literally been in a system that has been, I guess, sort of quietly having us push down these emotions. And that's what I always say for depression. My example is this: if you take a sponge and pushing it down, I call that suppression. You're suppressing that sponge. But sooner or later, that sponge is not going to come back up. And then that sponge is depressed. You know what I mean? And that's what I think it starts from. At a very young age, we've just been taught to suppress them feelings and not give them out and not say nothing and hold them in. And although it hurts and although we want to cry, don't cry. Because for real, there's very few people who we can go to who will allow us that space that we feel safe enough to have that type of outburst, so to speak. I'm 55 years old. I probably can remember crying around, as a grown man, I'm almost willing to bet you I haven't cried around 5 people. We talk outside of a death or a funeral. I'm talking about in a situation where we've had a conversation and I cried because of, what was going on in my life. I've probably only done that 5 times.
And that's part of the reason why, like I said, Mike is so important, because Cliff, me and you, we 55. And I try to explain to people, it's so hard for us because we spend a lifetime manifesting how to hide it. It's kind of hard for us to start opening up. And, with my sons, I try to make sure they understand if something is wrong, come talk to me. Whatever it is, And I had to, this is one of the things parents have to learn. You got to give up. You got to give up all the judgment. When you hear the worst shit, you got to keep that poker face so that they're comfortable talking to you. Because once they see that look on your face, if you show them a look where you're disgusted, you're upset, they will shut you out and they will go to the streets. And as a parent, this is one of the things you have to learn. I mean, it's great. Ladies, it's great to learn this deal with your man. But understand, there are times, like I said, Cliff been married. I think Cliff been married like 200 years. But as we're older, it's a little bit harder for us because this is it's ingrained in our DNA now to be certain ways. So it kind of sucks that sometimes when we break down wholly because, as Cliff say, we've been this sponge and we've been holding stuff, and you could catch us on the tail end of something, and you could catch 20 years worth of hell when we finally bust. Where had we been able to release it every now and then, it would never get that bad to the point where we're so destructive. And I appreciate the Mikes of the world. Whenever I meet a life coach, I try to talk to them. I try to share my experiences. I'm in a couple of groups, and because everybody deals with it differently. Everybody has different triggers, and it don't take much sometimes. And even once you know the triggers, there's still some that you never know because some of them are so situational, and it's kind of like being in the street and you smell something. Bam, it hits you. It's coming in hard. And even accepting the depression has been a little bit unnerving because I'm learning things about myself. And at 55, I ain't supposed to be learning nothing about myself. I'm supposed to be set in my ways, and I'm supposed to be old and stubborn and big-headed. But it's like, like, damn, when did this happen? When did I start being sensitive about this kind of stuff? And like I said, go ahead, Mike.
Let me just take it back before we get too far real quick. I'm not sure. I can't see the brother's name who was just talking from the shop. Is it Lyle?
Yeah, Lyle.
Lyle. Okay. Well, first I want to commend him for talking. It doesn't matter what age. Like I hear you guys a lot say something about you're older. That doesn't even matter, right? The fact that you're taking the steps now to even entertain and want to address this is huge in itself. Because yes, I come from the generation under you guys, and I'm gonna tell you guys that y'all fucked us up. Right? That's just being raw. And these are the things that needs to come out. Like, let's be real. Let's start there. Y'all fucked us up. We're not saying whose fault it was. We're not saying this is that. Because now you can go and say, well, I learned it from my father. And he learned it. Like, wherever you want to go with it, you handle that. But I could tell you, if I'm looking up to you guys who are right older than me, then y'all fucked us up. And we need conversations like this, one, to recognize it, and let's figure out, what did you do? How can I now make sure that I'm not doing the same thing? How can you make sure that you are spreading the right messages to people that you do come in contact with so they don't make the same mistakes as you? And that's what it is. That's mainly what it's about. The whole purpose of this out here is just breaking cycles. And it's a serious mindset. It's a serious mindset you have to take down to the foundation.
And as you said, we have to speak on it. And it ain't about calling me and Cliff out, but at some point you do have to place blame in its proper place. And I can tell people, I love my mother to death, but she taught me to be too strong. I don't hate her for that, but I have to realize where it happened so that I could be better for my kids. I ain't knocking what she did because I think I turned out all right for the most part. And this is one of those things where you have to discuss where things went wrong, because sometimes you can love the wrong way. And if your loving causes denial or non-acceptance, then you're missing the point, which is why I say, I make sure I talk to my boys. And yeah, I treat them, I noticed that I treated them a whole lot different than my girls because I knew the girls were going to be taken care of by their mother. But my boys needed to hear what I had to say because their mother was going to do the same thing that my mother did. Why you letting him get away with this? He need to toughen up. You're right, but there's a time and a place to be tough. There's also a time and a place to let him express what it is he has to say, and let's figure out what's going on.
Yeah, because it's good to allow them to be expressive. It's good to have conversations with your mother and let them know what you did.
Right.
Like, I think that's huge. But I think the difference is, what do you guys do after that? Like, I've had several conversations with mine and saying, hey, Ma, that was how you did. I don't do it that way because to me that was broken. No insult, not taking it no personal way. And then she sees the results of the way that I altered or changed or the new habits or whatever it is. That's just the difference. And in some cases, in most cases, she now adapts to that. So It was just about the delivery of saying, let's have this conversation. I know you raised me that way, and yes, I turned out okay. But to be quite honest, there were some struggles within that. If you can be honest in any and all of your conversations, that's going to be one of the biggest things and biggest ways to get through this.
And I think, go ahead, Cliff. I'm sorry.
It's funny you be having this conversation because I actually been planning to get all of my sons together to have this conversation, because what I realized was I could be a great father and still do exactly what Mike said. I could do all the things that a father think he should do, make sure they had a home, make sure they had, but I could still mess them up. And I think that what happens with men is I raised my sons, I was so hard on them that I probably did not allow a lot of emotions. And I was a single father for a long time. So I probably did not allow a room for the emotions of my mother's not there and things like that, because in my mind, I thought it was right to get them tough because the street was going to be that way. And then somehow, if I was being hard, they would be protected from street and life, and street and life. But the reality is, I could have raised them to be absolutely gentle, and life and anything else was coming at them anyway. So that's one of the things I've definitely recognized, that as a father, I've absolutely made some mistakes with my sons, and I plan to sit them down and have that conversation.
And you see what he just said? I'll just say this. Exactly what he said is exactly one of the issues that I had. I raised mine to be hard because I grew up real tough, no emotion. The last time I cried, I was 10, and that's when my great-grandmother died. That was my best friend. So from that point on, I didn't cry. So I raised my sons that way. So it was interesting that a few years ago, I finally decided to tap into who I am and release all of that. I had a conversation with my son who was 17 at the time. And I was like, sorry, you don't show emotion, this is that. And exactly what he said to me was, I've never seen you cry. I didn't think it was okay. Right there. So these are the cycles right there. So I instantly turned around and had a conversation with him and apologized to him and all my boys just for all that, for apologizing to them for not showing them the softer side of me. They needed to know that it was okay to be passionate. It was okay to say, I'm sorry. It was okay to cry if necessary. It was just okay. Like everything doesn't make you soft and a punk or a bitch or whatever word they throw around nowadays. I mean, it's fine. And from there on, that's it.
And one of the things that's so important to me now is like I do stuff with a couple of groups, and like I say, Mike, you're here, and I know you're in DC, is that it's important that men start having these conversations with boys and mothers and women, because nobody said this to them and they don't know, and they need to ask people. When I did my first show, I had been talking about the show for 3 years, but I always got emotional and I just pushed it off. And like I said, when I did it, I still didn't want to do it. But I realized for people who were like me or who had this and they had nobody to identify with, I was like, hey, what the hell? I'll just go ahead and show this. It sucked in my world, but it was such a breaking point. And when people start saying, hey, man, can you come tell us about this? Can you talk about this? Can you tell us some of the things that we got to stop doing? When Lyle said something to me, Lyle was asking me questions. And, not only do men go through it, we go through people who go through it and we don't know what to do because nobody knows. They see the things that people post and they think that's okay. But these are just feel good posts that people do for the gram because they want people to like it. We'll copy and paste this over and over and over. But when I ask them, who have you called? Oh, well, I told them they could call me, if they need somewhere to stay. Well, a lot of depressed people ain't homeless. We don't need nowhere to stay. We don't need this. We just want somebody we want to feel important sometimes, like what we going through matters. I don't want to be told how great my life is because right now I want to kill myself. That can't be a great thing. And it's important that we have these conversations. And as Cliff said, we go back and we make sure our sons have a safe place and know that it's okay. If you don't find nobody else, you can call me. We can meet up. I will call, we check on each other. When he thinks something wrong, I think something wrong. And this is so important that men instigate this. We can't keep sitting back waiting for women to get it right. We have to tell each other that we can heal ourselves, even if we have to talk to ourselves, because sometimes finding that right person can set us back because you wanted to be that girl who you like sleeping with, but she's not mentally equipped to handle it. And we have to learn to start accepting this, and we have to know where we can go to do releases. Because as Mike said, I was first diagnosed by a white woman. I didn't really want to talk to her. But what I liked about her is she was so matter of fact that she wasn't afraid of me, which is what most people were. And she just gave me stuff to read. So I had to come out of my denial. But I found me another therapist who looked like me, and it was easier to talk to him. It was just easier. But I liked her direct approach because she didn't coddle me. She didn't tell me everything was going to be okay. She didn't tell me, oh, the light at the end of the tunnel, all that, fairy tale stuff. She told me, this is going to be hard. These are things you're going to have to do. Read this, come back and tell me what you read and what you think about it. And because I'm an analytical person, that worked great for me. I didn't need a lot of hand holding. I just needed to be able to identify it. And like I said, that's why I wanted you, especially Mike, because I need for this to come out more. I need for this to be an okay conversation. I need for this to be the norm. And I need for Black people to understand that more than nail salons and barbershops and chicken joints, we need mental health facilities in our neighborhood that are accessible and affordable, because this is something that affects a lot of us, whether it's depression, whether it's some kind of trauma from being in the hood or whatever. We need to be able to get seen.
Men want to talk.
Say it again?
I said
we do.
It's clear. I mean, it's obvious clear. Women just have to look at things like we're doing now. Like, first of all, we sitting here talking for 2 hours. Like, come on. Like, you put men in a room, they're gonna talk. That's why men go to the barbershop and don't come home for 8 hours. That's because they're talking.
Right.
It's just creating the right environment, and to be quite honest, having the right trust in the person that they're talking to. If you can get that combination, then I will pretty much, I'll tell you anything just about.
I agree.
And for me, I'm different. I'm outspoken. So I come off as, like I speak everything, but that wasn't always.
Right.
I had my ways of, I want people to know things about me. I wasn't always comfortable with people knowing that I had cancer. It was hard. So I suppressed all of that. I didn't want somebody to look at me a certain kind of way or think I was weak or this, but then I just realized I'm not. So what the fuck?
It's crazy. Doing one of the shows, something came up about depression, and a friend of mine who makes one of these posts, he jabbed at me about it, and my girl just jumped on him right quick, and just seeing her check him for making fun of my depression, it made me feel better, because I didn't, at that point I didn't have the fight in me, but knowing that somebody had my back, it meant a lot, because like I said, there's a time to joke, and Cliff knows this because we older than dirt, but being in a politically correct society has its definite drawbacks, because you can't say certain things. Everybody's so sensitive now, and sometimes, as Mike said, you just need to be raw and uncut and tell the truth without worrying about who I'm offended by saying how I feel. I can't say that the fat lady pissed me off. I gotta say, well, the lady who is physically unhealthy, it's like, and the more you filter me, the less I'm gonna say, because now I gotta think about what I'm saying. I can't speak freely. And one of the things I love with you guys is we don't always agree, but everybody has their own vantage point, and that's what makes us who we are, because we can still contribute. And it's even better that we don't all share the same vantage point, because now when we're talking to a crowd, one of our stories is going to hit somebody. But if we all had the same story, we excluding 80% of the crowd, because now they can only identify with one story. And it's great to have differences so that people can say, well, no, that ain't me. Well, no, that ain't me. So ain't none of them telling my story. And to me, that's so crucial when we have these men talk. Because I'm gonna do another, and I'm gonna have a couple of women so they can answer specific questions.
Think about this. How arrogant do you have to be as a man to think that you can control? So to think that you can control another man's thoughts and words, how arrogant do you have to be? Regardless of if we disagree or don't agree, how arrogant do I have to be to look at you two and say, you know what? I want to control your thoughts and your words. That's crazy to me. So my thing is, I it's not my place to control your words. I learn from who I learn from, and I can filter out words that I may not agree with to take what I need. It's like if you give me a plate full of bones, I'm gonna move the bones out the way and get to what I want to get to. So that's what we have to learn to do.
But that's what we do. I mean, look at us. Even though, like, we use the first scenario, we all we disagreed. And you look at Facebook, and Facebook is a great place. But you look at people who start calling people's name for thinking differently. See, Mike never said I was stupid. Mike gave his reasons for disagreeing, and I ain't gonna never knock him, because what Mike sees is what Mike sees. But too many times we see people trying to get a story across, or like when I post stuff on my page, I very rarely say anything, because I don't want people pandering their answers to me. I let them speak. And you see how some people got stuff to say, and you'll see somebody come on and say, well, you dumb for thinking it, and I have to delete them, because you don't know. And we are so into being cyber bullies that we stifles people's emotions and their truths because it's something that we can't deal with. When you got to look at all of them, like I said, when I posted in different groups, I posted to see what different people think, and then I come on do a show and talk about the things I've seen, whether I agree with them or not. These people exist, and you have to acknowledge them. And because their way ain't your way, don't mean it's wrong. It just means it don't work for you. But you're not in their life.
D,
And
let
this,
me say
go ahead.
this: if you want to take that $4,000 and then give it to me, I'll take it from you because you're my brother.
Hey, if I take that $4,000 and give you, I can guarantee you my wife is gonna beat my ass. She don't even care. See, that's how the fight gonna start. She was like, "What? You gave him my $4,000?" Hey, we're gonna put it away till this pandemic is over. We're going to the strip club. We're gonna take a couple of cruises. We're gonna drink. We're gonna have a good time with it. Hey. But on seriously, but that's what we got to do. We got to have these. We got to have the differences of opinion so that somebody can connect with the different stories. We can't be suppressive.
I mean, connecting with the stories is one thing, but I mean, you're gonna have a lot of people connect with everybody's stories, but they have to ultimately find healing, though.
Right.
I mean, they actually got to get to the issue at hand, or else then all you're doing is just chasing the stories. Our perspectives are different. You know what I mean? I just think no matter who sprinkles what, someone should be able to connect with it on a deeper level. But as men and as a society as a whole, it's just so many parts to the way that we think. It's not just society that limits the way. It's like we have to look a certain way for our kids because they view us as superheroes. We have to look at it as our women, you know what I mean? Because they view us as, well, shoot, you never tired, and you know what I mean, you just like ongoing in a machine, and whatever the case may be. Then you got to go and play a different game if you don't work for yourself and have to walk into corporate America. So then you got to kind of be a little submissive as a man because you feel like, now I got to put my head down when I walk in this building. So all of these things are different things that as a male, and not to take away from women, they have their own, but I'm not going to speak on that part. But
we talking about men right now.
From a male perspective, like those are the things that we have to now come in tune with. That's why for me, it's just like, look, it starts with self. For one, I hear you saying a lot of people putting in comments and then making comments. I say what I want. I say what I feel. If you don't like it, you don't have to follow it. If you don't like it, you can even say something onto it. But one thing I don't deal with is disrespect.
Right.
So if you disrespect me on my posts or whatever, I'm not really a big block type person. I might just ignore you, or I might just delete it and I'll just keep it moving.
Right.
But I'm not going to give energy into that because I know where to go. So, you have to take a lot. It definitely starts with your inner self, man, really just being able to control yourself and your thoughts and not worry so much about others, because ultimately you cannot control what other people say or do.
And two things you said. I only picked up one thing from Dr. Phil, so I tried to watch it, but I couldn't get into it. He said too many times we talk about topics, but never about issues. And that's one of the things we got to concentrate on. Let's get to the issues. Mike talked about it's cool to know you got depression, but now you got to figure out why you got it, what triggered it, how did it get there, so you can start addressing those issues and start to heal. Because just because you got it, you're still not healing anything. I mean, when your leg is broke, but you got to go through the process of getting it better. If you don't do that, you'll keep making the same mistakes. What'd you do to break the leg? Yada, yada, yada. And the knowing of self, and I tell people all the time, people say, why didn't people don't just be honest? Well, lots of people can't be honest because they don't know who they are. I mean, I can freely admit now that for years I led a triple, quadruple life because, as Mike said, I was investigator bail at work. I was D on the streets. I'm DVP on this show. I had all these different personalities blocked in, and each one of them dealt with depression in a different way. So if somebody asked me something, depending on who they asked, they might not have got the same answers. So at some point, my uncle who's on the show, when I was going through my divorce, I went and stayed with him because I was having an issue and I needed to be alone. I just needed everything cut off, and I knew he wouldn't bother me. I stayed locked in a room for 30 days because I needed peace. And I didn't need any outside interferences to figure out, who is this guy? You know who you are for this people, for these people, for these people. And a lot of us, when people say, well, who are you? We all claim, oh, I know who I am, but a lot of us don't. We know who we are for survival. We know what we've done. But do we truly know who we are until we hit rock bottom or until something happens? And that was one of those things I had to learn to deal with, because I'm like, I'm that dude. If shit hit the fan, I'm that dude you want to call on speed dial, because I'm always about it. I'm ready to fight because I was a warrior. But
don't wait.
part of my fight mentality became because I was depressed and I needed to work my anxiety out on people. So sex and fighting became both became my drug. If I had a chance to enact violence, it gave me a temporary relief from the pain. So is that who I was, or is that who I was depressed? And those are the things I had to start addressing with me to figure out who I was and what I was. Because we tell ourselves what we want to hear. Nobody wants to say, oh, I'm a dirtbag, oh, I'm a loser, except for people looking for more sympathy. But at some point, you got to realize I ain't this people that everybody think, DVP got it going on. He got this, he got that. Man, DVP is not sleeping at night at all. And learning who I was a whole separate journey. And those are things that we got to get through.
Well, think about it. Most people struggle with being true to themselves because that honesty is going to make them struggle with themselves, and it's going to make other people possibly have another view of them. So if I tell my truth that I'm struggling with alcohol, let's say, then my fear is if I tell that truth, the people that always saw me as this clean living guy are gonna look at me differently. I think when you get to a point in your life that you realize it don't really matter how nobody else see you but yourself and how you are as a man, and it doesn't matter if they see me as broke or poor or rich or whatever, it's ultimately my view of myself that's going to determine the way I go about it. I was listening to what Mike said about walking in the building with your head down. Man, I had just the opposite. I had a sister tell somebody, Cliff thinks he's the man because he walks around here with those white men as if he belongs with them. And I pulled her to the side. I said, listen, I'm a grown man. I ain't putting my head down for nobody. What you want me to walk around here like I'm scared? I say, no, I'm gonna walk around here like I'm a demand the same respect they demand because I earned the same respect they had. So as men, a lot of times, we damned if we do, we damned if we don't. You know what I mean? If we express it, we soft. If we not express it, we hard. So it's like Mike said, once you get to that point where you know yourself, you ain't worried about what nobody else think. I don't care what you think about me. I don't care less.
And you gotta be comfortable, and you gotta be able to walk into that. And a lot of that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? Once I got to a certain point where I didn't really care anymore, it's like, yeah, I can let these things go now. If I shed a tear, so what? I shed a tear. As my dad said, if you can't whoop my ass, you can't make me change my mind. And I like to fight. So, but these are the little sayings that he gave me to help me. But if I'm being honest, he hurt me with a lot of things. The if you can't beat my ass, you can't make me change my mind. That was a marching thought of mine for the longest. I was a fight extraordinaire. So anytime I met with somebody who tried to psychoanalyze me or call me out, I was just easy to punch them. And it was a relief for the depression. So I liked it. It was a drug for me. And I had to accept the fact that, hey, I got to quit hitting people because it's giving me relief in one sense, but it's only aggravating. It's making the situation worse because now I'm not addressing the issue. I'm addressing what I'm thinking is disrespect, but I was just looking for a reason to hit him. So and like I said, it would have been great to have somebody like Mike 20 years ago, but I guess 20 years ago, Mike was 20 years ago. What were you doing, Mike? You were still in high school.
20 years ago, I was battling cancer.
Hey, okay. I was gonna say, don't say you was like 9 or something trying to hurt me and Cliff feeling. And see,
I was 20 years ago, man.
Mike,
and Mike, battling cancer ain't a good way to say it. You was whooping cancer's ass.
I was whooping ass. Yeah.
And that's the great thing is sometimes it takes a hardship to get you to see where you are when you feel like when you're down. I had a car wreck. I live in Douglas County. They took me to Grady. I wasn't supposed to make it through the night. And that helped tell me a lot about myself, where I was. And it probably played another part into the depression because nobody had ever seen me down and out. But shit, I'm in Grady. I'm in ICU. But it also gave me a false sense of self because then I walked around acting like I couldn't be killed because I didn't want to accept the fact of certain other things. And it's important to have people who can ground you respectfully. As Cliff said, we this is our second or third show together. We got a little brotherhood now. We don't all exchange numbers. We can check on each other. And sometimes you need somebody to just call you and pull your coattail. Hey man, you're doing good, but you can tone it down just a little bit. And go ahead.
I'm sorry, D. Go ahead, man.
No, do your thing.
So think about this. This is the problem with one of the problems with being a man in some ways. Let's look at the situation that happened in DC at the Capitol. All of that happened at the Capitol, while it has nothing to do with my house, required me to heighten my level of security and what I do at my house. So even that burden is passed on to a man if that man is doing what a man's supposed to do. No man is going to see that level of chaos in the world and not think in his mind, am I doing the right thing for my family? Are we prepared? And so all of those burdens that a lot of times other people take for granted and don't worry about, as men, we carry them burdens with us at a whole nother level, where the whole house can sleep peacefully. For the most part, if I'm up, I'm listening. I'm making sure so it's another level of responsibility when you're a man with the family and a man in general, that it's constantly adding weight onto us. It's rare that someone walks up to us and take weight off. It's extremely rare that someone walks up and go, I'm going to take this weight off your back. So I'm going to pay off your car so you ain't got that weight. I'm going to do this. It's typically the world adding weight to us. And we have to learn how to manage that weight, and when we can discard certain things off our own plate, because it's going to be rarely that someone else will volunteer to take something off your plate as a man.
And yes, women, ladies, there are men who, even after what he said, don't even recognize when someone is trying to be there for them. So that's another angle of how difficult it gets for us. You know, he's saying it's rare for a brother to offer. Well, there's plenty of brothers that will offer, but there's plenty who just don't even know how to receive that. They look at it as, what do you want? Well, what I got to give you in return? What I owe you? Why are you doing this? You know what I mean? I'm good because I don't want you to feel like, you taking care of me and I'm a whole man over here. So it's a lot of, like I said, it still just goes back to a lot of things that we need to just continue to talk about and highlight so that way people can see. All those things that I just mentioned, we got to get over that. It's fine. It's all right to accept help from others.
But part of it is that trauma that we got from being betrayed by somebody who we thought we could talk to. I think that's one of those band-aids that we got to rip off, because sometimes you want to jump in, but you remember that last time you did and it hurt. And and I say, men hurt way worse than women. When people say, oh no, men are not emotional. I say, I'm gonna tell you why that's a lie. Women don't ever talk about fighting somebody for stepping on their shoes. Men are the only group of people that talk about that dumb shit, and especially us. Not me, not the three of us, but we've heard guys say, oh, if you step on my shoes, I'm fighting. I said, see, that's an emotional thought process. I say, guys are way emotional. They just fight so hard to suppress it that when it comes up, it's normally out of control. But the minute that we're hurt by something, that's a double wall that we build up. So even when we run across somebody who means us well, most of the time our first thought is to that somebody that hurt us, not to that somebody who meant us well. And then there's a whole nother inner conflict. Do I let my guard down for Cliff, or is he gonna be like Ray, where I told him something and he went and told his other girl he was trying, oh, don't mess with D, he crazy, he got that shit. So it's like, how do you get there? And we got to learn, one, to make better choices, because sometimes you can't pick who you want to share stuff with. I learned working in clubs. It's the reason people talk to bartenders in security. They don't know us. They feel a sense of security about not knowing us, because we can't betray them to somebody because we don't have the same friends. And that's their safe zone. That's why they talk to people that they have no clue as to who they are, because you can't come in my world and mess it up. And it took me a minute to understand why we were so popular. You got your hand up, Mike?
Oh, no, I was holding my. Go ahead.
Okay, but yeah, and that's why I understood why people like talking to total strangers sometimes, because there is less judgment. You can't mess up the circle.
Well, I will say something. So even when you said someone stepping on your sneakers, that make men are emotional because if someone steps on our shoes, that to me is not emotion. That's ego. Like it's kind of separate to me. I'm a sneaker person, and I'm one of those that's like, I don't want nobody to step on my sneakers, and I may even make a reference to jokingly, like, I don't step on my sneakers, you mess up my kicks or whatever, but that's ego. It's not that I'm not emotional behind that. You know what I mean? And maybe there's some that look at it that way, but that's more so of your ego because he damaged something of yours. You can get what I'm saying? So
and let me put that in proper context. I'm talking about when you wear these shoes to the club, you can't expect anybody gonna step on your shoes. So to want to fight somebody for something that's on the ground, I get when you just out at the mall or something, but you in the club, I don't know why you got on sneakers in the first place. But I've had to lock up guys who want to fight people by stepping on their sneakers. They
but
still gonna
that's
be
ego.
dirty.
That's
Right.
ego in a mixture of alcohol and
Right.
whatever
But I'm
else.
just saying, women got on red bottoms. They don't make that same statement. They just call you a couple of dirty names and ask for a drink. Guys are willing to go to jail about this. That's more than ego. That's emotionally unbalanced. Because if you don't want anybody to step on your shoes at the club, then don't wear shoes you don't want. That's like saying I don't want them to get dirty. Then do you walk? Don't wear them at the house. Then once you wear them at the house, they dirty. And that's why I said that's an emotional response to a non-emotional event. I mean, unless they did it on purpose, it falls under shit happens.
We are like so men are raised to sort of be like, we want to be the light. We always want to be the alpha male. So that's why I say, in some ways, I agree. It's more of an ego and pride thing, because it's not like I sit there and think, "Oh, you stepped on my shoe, you hurt my feelings." It's more, who are you to step on my shoe and not get dealt with? Right. And so, but that comes, but it goes back to what you said too, D. It goes back to the beginning of, as young children. Think about it. We, as young boys, we didn't sit around and have discussions about our feelings. We fought it out. Ain't like you ever came to me and said, "Hey, Cliff, you took my pack of now laters, and when you took my pack of now laters, it made me feel less than important because my mommy had gave me money for those now laters." And no, you ain't do that. You made a decision. Either I'm gonna have to whip Cliff, or he gonna keep taking my now laters.
Okay, Cliff, let me just interrupt you right, Cliff. Now lasers is something totally different. Now lasers is a shooting offense. Taking my now lasers is a shooting offense. That's a whole that's totally different from shoes, Cliff. That's totally different. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan wore his shoes on the court. He knew he was gonna get stepped on. Now lasers that's a case. That you catching the case for that. Go ahead.
Especially if it's the watermelon now lasers.
Oh, I'm the sour apple. If you step on my sour apple, yeah, I'm catching the case.
Yeah, I'm gonna all of that.
Yeah, Mike. We talking over your head. I think you probably a fruit roll up guy. We don't deal with you on this one, Mike.
I don't even do all that candy and none of that.
Yeah. See, Mike, we're gonna take away your hood card. If you don't know what now lasers are, Mike, we
know what? If it requires me to eat sugar, then y'all can have my hood card. I'll put it like that.
Okay, no, just I don't want your hood card. I just want your now lasers. So just give me your now lasers when they come across, and we aces. But yeah, and that's the thing is how sometimes we prioritize stuff to cover up our weaknesses. Sometimes we make things that are really insignificant so important to us because that's all we know. It's all we got to hold on to. I remember when I got my first pair of when them J's came out, them leather J's from Converse, man, you couldn't tell me nothing. I saved up 6 months to get them joints, but them was the first leather sneakers. And because we were poor, I put a lot into them. And sometimes that's what we do is we have to value things because they're valuable to us. But sticking with this, like I said, I want us, and especially Mike, like I said, I'm gonna have some women on next time so they can ask more questions, and so we know how to deal with women who are going through depression, because a lot of times we know how to deal with sadness, we know how to deal with the loss of a family member, but do we even realize how to deal with a woman with depression? And I think when me and Lyle was talking about it. At the time, his girlfriend was going through depression, and he didn't know how to deal with her. Sometimes he wanted to be a consoling mate, but sometimes we don't need consoling. We need distance.
I mean, does she want help? Is one of the first things I would ask. Like, she has to want help.
But he didn't know how to give it, and he didn't understand her need to be alone sometimes, because it's one of the things that we don't talk about. Because when you're going through depression, you don't always want to be around somebody. Sometimes you just need that alone time to work some things out. Sometimes you just want to cry by yourself. You don't need nobody to wipe your tears or slop your snot or none of that. You just need you need 6 or 7 minutes by yourself.
And it's the understanding that and understanding the time that a person needs. And so when Trina was saying how she dealt with Darren and different things like that, I picked up on different things. I used to date a girl who was going through depression, took medication, and I didn't really know it. She was telling me it was for something else, goddamn vitamins or something. That's how people don't really want to talk about it or really address it. But when Renee would address it, and that would help me understand and how to relate to it. So she wasn't even hiding the thing, but that even though I knew, I didn't know how, without talking to someone or those type of rooms, knew how to react or know how to be there for her without doing too much. It's like I'm sure Trina has found out in the beginning with Dan before they talked everything. But it's like a pendulum, you know, and you don't know what side to be on and where to be until you get those conversations. So that's why I said D opening up was so instrumental for me as an older person, because like I said, I dated a girl who I never knew, and I wish she would have told me, because I know that I'm an understanding type dude, and I would have been able to deal with it if she told me. That was the biggest thing, was to be honest and be open to me and give me a chance to be there for her. Now I got one thing, Dave. We got Miss Beautiful Shantae here. She's been listening. And do we have any one question for a female that she might be able to answer?
Well, ask if she gonna come on when I do the female version, because I'm gonna do because like I said, that's something that most of us don't know how to deal. We don't know how to deal with females who are suffering from depression, because like I said, we're used to dealing with sadness and being depressed from a moment, but when it's a lifestyle, dealing with depression, and I'm assuming, I'll let Mike talk, whether it's the same for men and women, because I'm still gonna say it's probably different for everybody, but they're allowed more so to express their sadness and depressed state, and we accept it. Where, you know, men don't want to come out and tell a woman that he's dating, you know, I suffer from depression, because that's probably a stop sign. So go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say, women are, you know, tend to be more vocal and tend to have, you know, circles that allow you to be more vocal, or allow them to be more vocal. Where men, on the other hand, like you said, you know, our circles shut us off. Like, go ahead, son, we ain't trying to hear that, or you'll be all right. A woman can always, you know, anytime she's hurt, in any time of emotion, she has her girlfriend, she has her sister, if they have, or whatever, and they can call and gossip and chat and mend each other and heal each other all night. You know, we tend to do the opposite. You know, if a man is hurt, especially from his home, he might leave and run to another woman's house. He might leave and run to the bar, and then all of those thoughts and everything is now blocked with whatever he's doing, drinking, smoking, etc. You know what I mean? So the way that we cope or tend to cope is extremely different, but it still connects to what we're connected to, if it makes sense. You know what I mean? So I now have a circle of people I know I can come to and say, hey, this is what's wrong. And I know they're not going to look at me crazy. They're going to offer me sound advice and be grown and mature. I didn't always have that. Those people, they just shook off.
Oh, Mike, I'm gonna make sure I got you when I got the ladies on here, because I want you to come with some of your same coaching advice, and I want you to offer the men. Like I said, the bulk of my audience is women, and they've asked me questions, which is why I wanted the men to talk about how it's affecting them. But I mean, I do have some male listeners, and what I've learned is I probably got some female listeners who are still suffering in silence, because they don't want to be looked at with that scarlet letter on their head, because it's still not acceptable to say you suffer from depression. It's still, like I just told somebody, it still means you ride the short yellow bus, and that's how people look at you, like you got a disease.
Who is saying that? Who is saying that? Like, that's the whole thing. We gotta stop. We gotta let that go. There's no one that's saying, if they are, then stop talking to them.
No, but I'm saying they don't know who to talk to, and that's why I want to get this open, so they learn who to talk to, how to spot them, or where to go, because sometimes you do have to call that 1-800 number.
Yeah, do whatever's necessary.
I got a question for the sister. Can we ask the sister a question?
Go ahead. She can. I'm sure. Raise your hand if you can hear us.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? All right, go ahead. She can hear you.
Yeah, we on. We good.
So let me ask you this question. What is your view of an emotional man? If you meet a man that's emotional, what is your view on that?
Well, I always want a man to be open. I do. I don't want him to be a crybaby.
Okay.
But I do want him to be open and to express.
What's a crybaby? What's a crybaby?
If they are whining and complaining about everything, then that is a turn off, because I do look for my man. Y'all asking me a question.
Right.
I do look for him to be strong. I do. I don't want a weak man. And I know that can go into so many different definitions, you know, what's your definition of a weak man? I can only imagine your thoughts. But I do want a man that will be open and real and in touch with his feelings. I do. I want to know what it is that you're feeling. I do. That doesn't make you lesser than, nothing like that. But at the same time, I don't want to have to find myself I was just recently in, where I have to always be the one that's encouraging you. Always have to be the one that's inspiring you and pushing you. Because after a while, you're gonna be a weight to me. And when are you gonna be an encouragement to me? When are you gonna have something uplifting to say to me? You know, so in that aspect, you're not on my level. You know, so then I had to realize you're not on my level. I'm always pouring into you. Oh, you made it. Come on, baby. You do come on. If you do this and that, and I'm not all the time. Not all the time.
Yeah.
At some point, you gotta either find your way, what I'm saying, and run with it, but not all the time.
That's big.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, me too. That's big.
And you know what? And that's why, like, I'm in another group and I keep telling them, you know, quit saying that all guys are alphas. There are guys who are codependent and they looking for the woman who is stronger, because that's just the balance system. Everybody's not meant, all guys are not meant to be hunters. It's a myth that's been perpetuated, but all guys are not meant to be leaders. And so sometimes that guy who's not there needs a stronger woman. And we have to accept that these people coexist and we need them to balance each other out, because it is what it is. And everybody ain't cut out for everybody. Just because you like somebody doesn't mean y'all are career partners. Sometimes it's like, say, people come into our life for a reason, whether it's to help us to learn more about ourselves or get through something, and we have to accept that. And you know, she knows what she wants and doesn't want, and it can come across wrong to some, but you know, at the end of the day, hell, I listen to Cliff. Cliff want to be that man who does things for his wife. Darren wants to be that man. We don't want them to have to go somewhere else. But every man is not like us, and it doesn't knock him or change his rating as a man. It just means he's different, because some men like being led. And guess what? If I'm being honest, there are times when I'm tired as hell. And the reason I pick Trina is because she can lead. I don't need to lead 100% of the time. And I understand what the sister's saying. I don't want to let Trina lead 50% of the time. That's not how I was brought up. That's not how I was learned, because I don't want to do 50-50. I want to be the lead dog 90% of the time. But there are those times when I just don't have it in me. Well, I'm tired, with depression is just kicking my ass. And I want to know that my partner can take over when I can't, and just ride that wave out till I'm ready to jump back into the captain seat. But you know, the young lady said, you know, she don't, as Teddy Pendergrass, she don't want 60-40 or 70-30 loves. You know, she damn sure don't want 50-50. But that's what we got to understand, that sometimes everybody ain't who we think they are because of their sex. All women aren't soft and submissive. All men ain't hard and leaders. And that's a big thing, especially when we talk about dealing with depression. Those that haven't mastered it, accepted it, they're at a whole different level, because they could be violent for all the wrong reasons. They're trying to show something that they're really not, so they keep getting into trouble.
Well, I agree with her. I don't want to hear no man whining.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah, the whining part.
Yeah, I can express myself without whining. Yeah. So if I come in and say, look, boo, you know what? This situation going on at work, it feel like every time I think I get my foot in the door, they hand a job to somebody else. It's getting frustrating. That's one thing. But it's another thing to come home and go every day. Boo, I'm so tired of them at work, and they just won't never promote me, and you ain't doing nothing to try to fix it. So I'm with the sister. You know?
Yeah, I agree
too. Then I got another question for the sister. Are you willing to get a shag or a jerry curl for like charity? So we're gonna get you a shag or jerry curl, and we're gonna give all the money to Mike's charity. So are you willing to get a jerry curl or a shag on this live radio broadcast, and we give all the money to Mike's AOD village?
No.
All of this, you think she about to come for charity, bro?
Listen, we'll take it.
I'll be emotional, but I work hard for this, bro.
I definitely just real quick, just like to say, I thank her for her comment. That's very important. I don't find anything wrong in what she said. I just think it's just all about communication. She's not asking for too much. You know, nobody wants nagging. Like we would call that nagging if it was coming from the other way. We wouldn't want you nagging us day in and day out. So there's a big difference. Understand what she's saying. He still needs to be a man, handle business, but it's always going to be balanced. But being allowed to come and even have that moments, like they say, when we get sick, you know, we turn into big babies. Well, guess what? Can you allow me to be that baby for that week? Because if you do, it would take us far.
I don't know.
Don't throw that at me.
I do not mind.
Right. So I appreciate that. Respect.
Because you know, some of y'all black women will be like, oh, just because you paralyzed don't mean you can't cut the grass.
That's right. I got you this riding lawnmower. Let me buckle you in. Hey, well, we down to the last 5 minutes, and I think we had a good. I had a couple more scenarios, but I wanted to make sure we got mental health because that was, like I say, Mike is my man, and he got to pass on some of this stuff, and I want him, and I want to make sure he come back. I ain't sure about you, Cliff, because you keep trying to share my beard. I'm supposed to be the only white beard to do on the show.
Right.
But what I want to do is I want to make sure we all give a shout out and tell people how we can follow you or get more information. So I'm gonna start with you first, Cliff. Tell them how they can follow you or keep up with your shenanigans and what you're doing. And keep us informed on what's happening in DC.
Yeah, they can find me at Cliff Brown on Facebook. They can find me on Uplifters on Twitter, and they can also find me on Uplifters at Instagram. But Facebook is probably the best way to reach me. Cliff Brown on Facebook.
All right, Mike, I want you to tell them about your program, and me and you need to talk because if you're here, there's some things we need to get into because I need to put you out with some more people if that's what you are for.
I mean, we have so many programs. If anyone that wants to keep up, you know, it's AOD Village on all platforms. AOD Village on all platforms. You can go to the website, aodvillage.com. Like I said, I'm a wellness coach. We deal with mental, physical, spiritual. Just check us out. Our weekly calls for men are starting back in February. Those are the private calls for the kings where we just go ahead and talk about depression and anxiety and all the things that we deal with in private. We have an AOD gun club coming soon. We have, just follow us, AOD Village, and check us out. Check us out every Tuesday. We have a show as well, Change the Narrative, every Tuesday on Facebook and YouTube. I mean, so you know, we're moving. Shouts to Tiger Eyes 360.
That's right. That's who got us together. Tiger Eyes 360.
Yes.
That's right.
Mr. 976, tell them what you got going on, and hey, hold on, tell them to bounce their hair right quick. I like that little bounce thing she got going. Tell them the shit.
You gotta let them see. Now she got these lashes. She got the hair down the back. Look, I was doing her back. You know, she had running day. So when she put the lipstick on, that's when y'all started talking to her. I noticed that. So when she put on that pop of lip, y'all could really see, then y'all started talking to her. Miss Shantae, she's been my client for a while, but y'all know Makeup and More, Mr. 976, always doing something. Y'all can catch me on Facebook or Instagram. Instagram is makeup_and_more. But I am a master barber, fellas, just to let y'all know, you know, the beard enhancements and all that. I do all that. I've been doing shows for up to 10 years. I make it look natural. We don't do the shoe polish or none of that. So anybody need to get tightened up, you got a big event or something, let me know. D ain't let me trim his yet and ever. I've been trying to trim it. I'm trying to edge it up when you want.
Hey, I want to bounce like her hair bouncer. Can you make that happen with this? I want to bounce. I need all that in my life. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be like, you know. But check this out, y'all. Seriously, you know, this is Random Thoughts with DVP. I appreciate y'all spending some time with me. I hope y'all enjoyed Cliff and Mike. Like I said, they're gonna be back. We're gonna talk some more because, like I said, to be a guest on my show, what I need more than anything is for you to bring a different opinion. I can agree with myself all day long. If all you're gonna do is agree with me, you really ain't bringing nothing. If you got something you want to talk about, shoot me an inbox. If I don't know about it, just like I did with Mike them, I will reach out to people who know more about the subject because I ain't trying to tell you I'm an expert on nothing. What I am an expert on is finding people who can discuss things I don't know nothing about. My ego will allow me to do that. Latest side note, that's what alpha men do. Alpha men don't mind giving up power to somebody who knows more than them. That's part of the whole process. And these brothers, we got different thoughts, but as you see how we all disagree respectfully, there's never a name calling thing. Accept that for what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, accept that people are different. They have different circumstances. You know, why people do things is based on their life experiences. Nobody has the same one. So don't expect them to do everything that you would do. And at the end of the day, we all follow somebody, which means that technically we're all sheeple. Nobody has their own independent thought. There's nothing wrong with that. Do it because that's what you want to do and you understand why. One of the greatest lessons I learned from a boss was everybody can tell me what's wrong. If you can't tell me how to fix what's wrong, STFU. Because I don't need people to just keep piling on telling me this is wrong. Tell me how to fix it. If you don't have a way to fix it, let it be that. Like I said, we're gonna come back and do another show because I like having these fellas around. We met on the forum, and you know, we just kind of click with everything. Everybody's teaching somebody something different. Oh man, let me tell you something. We need brothers like Mike in our life to tell us what's going on.
Yes. Yes.
And the younger fellas need us to give them valid information so that we can start correcting some of the mistakes or some of the rumors that help keep us down for so long. But stop being selfish. Understand, you know, I got people who keep talking about, oh, we need to do this. Cliff has said he's financially okay. Mike is financially okay. I'm financially okay. That doesn't mean we don't need mental health in our neighborhoods. That doesn't mean we don't need hospitals in our neighborhood. I'm sure we got insurance. And sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture and stop being selfish, you know, and that's what we got to do. If we're going to get better, and I always preach this, there are multiple ways to get to the top. Everybody needs to take a different path than take our team. As long as we're going to the top, that's all that matters. We don't all have to go up this straight path because that doesn't work for everybody, and it's okay. So again, if you got something you want to talk about, inbox me. If you got something you want to speak on, you think you want to be a guest, hey, shoot me a friend request. I'm gonna look at your page and see what you're talking about, see if you got good sense. I ain't gonna let you just be on here because you say you want to be on the show. You got to be able to take some heat, because when I feel like being disagreeable, I'm gonna be disagreeable, because sometimes that's what you got to do to get your guests to speak more openly and honest, and they gotta be able to handle that. So if you can't handle me being disagreeable because I want to make the show better, don't bring your sensitive ass to the show. And can I say sensitive, Mike? Can I say sensitive?
Yeah, you did.
You can say sensitive.
Okay.
Yeah, watch it, Mike. You always using the word.
Don't bring your sensitive ass on here, because this is about putting the truth out there, and you know, I like discussing uncomfortable truths, because that's the only way we're gonna make the situation better, is discuss things that are uncomfortable to us. Because too many times we get caught up in only wanting to talk about peaceful things. And then that serves the purpose for nobody. I want to thank Cliff, especially for talking about he gonna get with his sons and have a talk with them. See, that's grown man shit right there. To go back and try to undo some of what you did, because you can correct the past at any time. You don't have to just say, well, it's done and I can never fix it. You can go back, and even if you can't change them, you can change the way they treat their kids and their kids, because now we've started that cycle of fixing things. We're addressing issues and not topics, and that's what we got to do. So I want to thank the long hair cutie that wouldn't get a Jerry curl for Mike for his organization. But like I said, we'll be back again in what is it, 6 days and 22 hours and some change, fellas. I want to thank y'all. And until then, y'all know what it is: peace, popcorn, and chicken grease, and we out.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The human voice is all